Election year politics loom over the markets in 2020. New York, AP, a potentially tumultuous presidential election campaign promises to add some extra drama to financial markets this year, although if history is any guide, investors can cast aside some worries. The stock market typically rises in an election year, no matter which party claims the presidency. Overall, the S&P 500 has made gains in 78% of election years, and the average gain is around 6%, no matter which party holds office since World War II. This year, Republican Donald Trump is seeking a second term, and the S&P 500 has gained 6.6%, on average, since 1945, when a first-term Republican is running for re-election, according to CFRA Research. Investors may want to pay particular attention to where the market stands about 3 months prior to the election. That period has been predictive of past election outcomes, according to several analysts. Since 1928, an S&P 500 in the green 3 months before the vote has typically meant a win for the party holding the presidency, and a slumping index has meant a loss. That has held true in 20 of the last 23 presidential elections, including the 5 this century, according to ELP. The Republicans came out on top in each of the 3 exceptions. In 1956, Republican Dwight Eisenhower won re-election although the market was down 3 months out. In 1968, Republican Richard Nixon defeated Democratic Vice President Hubert Humphrey even though the S&P 500 was up 6% in the months preceding Election Day, and in 1980, Republican challenger Ronald Reagan beat President Jimmy Carter although 3 months before the election the market showed a gain of about 7%. John Lynch, chief investment strategist at ELP Financial, says the 3-month reading is a good benchmark since by then investors are clear about both parties' platforms. What the data can't show very well are all the variables that go into an election year, such as who controls Congress and the nuances of politics. It's one of those perfect examples of you can let data tell whatever story you want, said Sam Stovall, chief investment strategist of U.S. equity at CFRA. It is guide but not gospel. For one thing, the stock market tends to go higher, election or not. For all years since 1945, the S&P 500 has moved higher 71% of the time with an average gain around 9%, according to CFRA. And, as the popular investing adage goes, past performance is no guarantee of future results. Investors should also note that the average election year gain is far short of 2019's increase for the S&P 500 of nearly 29%. The markets will pay attention to the early Democratic contests, starting with the Iowa caucuses on February 3, but a clear picture of who will be the likely Democratic contender might not begin to emerge until March 3, or Super Tuesday, when primaries are held in more than a dozen states. For more on this story, visit the news article link.